why are you writing? There are like very few. I think out of 45, there are like 5-6 people who are writing, and that also I think I'm asking why. Then probably 1 or 2 no replies. So do you think that why are you writing? Okay, to reach the wider audience, to expose whatever we researched or worked. Okay, that is good. Okay, then I think it's to add the pool of knowledge. That is also a very good point. Okay, let's see. Ideally, as I told you before, it's a communication to provide that valuable information from the research to the community, so that that outcome will have overall good in humanity, or like for good for the community. So it is some kind of outcome. So sometimes there are research and grants projects that you must have some kind of documentation as a proof, so that it is like provided to the people. And this is a proof of a strong thought leadership. Thought leadership is how a person develops an idea. So how that person develops idea, leads that idea, and actually make that idea happen and disseminate to the public. So this is a thought leadership. Thought leadership is very important career in academia or like in research field. So just like you learn skills, other skills, soft skills, thought leadership is also very important. So this is like a proof. The more you develop your ideas, the more you disseminate them, and the more you're able to communicate it nicely to the people, you show the strong thought leader characteristics. So another thing is to enhance one's career. So most people want to enhance their career when they start this academic career line. So you have to be very careful. Where do you plan your career? Do you want to plan your career through academia or through industry or through research? It is very important from the beginning. When you start your career, you plan your career in research, either through industry or academia, then publication is very important. But in reality, it's very ideal case. Like people would do this if there was everything is like fulfilled for them. But most people do it because there is a minimum requirement from the university. University has some requirement. Oh, you must publish, otherwise you will not get the degree. You must have this much impact factor journal publication, otherwise you will not have any kind of graduation or requirement degree. So this university departments, advisors, requirement forces us to get some publication. And in academia, there is one very bad thing is called publish or perish. It's there is a software also, but that is not what we are talking about. If you will publish, you will flourish. So if you will publish, you will get promotion, get a successful recognition and other things. If you will not, then once you stop publishing, you will start degrading. So that is one of the very bad thing about academia, is you have to publish or perish. So that is why also we publish. So now I want to ask among like 3-4 people who are very active in the chat. So how do you get your ideas? Like, how did you get your ideas? Whatever you are writing, like how you get that idea? Do you have anything like that idea just came to you, or like someone told you, or like someone you felt, some kind of thing? No one to share how they are getting their ideas? Okay, there is too much. Okay, there is a need of sustainable transport in the Philippines. So this is a need. There is a need. That means it's a problem. Same academic field. Idea generated from the same. Okay, same generated academic field. So idea generated from same academic field is more like replication. So you are like trying to copy, like transfer of knowledge. I get advised on an idea. Okay, it's like someone recommended you. That is also okay. Okay, so the thing is objective, like theme. Whatever you are starting, whenever you start writing, before you start writing, you have to know what theme you are going to write. Where your knowledge, where you have good knowledge, where your foundation is very good, what you know best, what are you good at. If you are not good at things, you will start things and you will fail. And then you will start thinking like, oh, this is too difficult, this is so difficult, I want to run away, or this is not something I chose for. So most of the people who start things, they don't decide it because they are good at it or bad at it, but they will do it just because someone is doing, or like someone offered or someone just give an opportunity, they will just jump on it. But after that, after some time, initially it's easy, like because you are in learning phase, but when it gets tougher, it will be very difficult. So you must be absolute sure that what are you very good at. If you are not good at things, don't pursue unless you have a good foundation. We'll talk more about how to build foundation on things. So the objective, you should be very clear on what are your objectives. It should be very clear, but initially you can have with a rough idea, and then you can disseminate with more clear objectives. So another thing is, when you write, that writing is useful once other people start reading and getting some idea from it. If those people will not get an idea or like get any information out of it, it's kind of a waste of their time. So if you are writing something, think of that it's something that you are contributing and someone is utilizing their time to read that and get something out of it. If you are wasting their time, that is waste of everyone's time. It's not only yours but everyone's time. So you should be always be able to answer at least in 1 or 2 sentences, what is the contribution of your article? Why are you writing this? What is the main information that it is generating? Who will be benefited? What will happen to other people when they read this? Does this will like help them to get some kind of betterment in some action, or like something information generation, or based on that they will do something good? That kind of thing you should be able to disseminate. You should be able to express in your article. And now coming about the ideas, like I asked you how you get your ideas. So most people who do is by reading. We go to university, we enter the academia, and we will start like reading, and we read a lot of things. So while reading, it will build up your foundation, and it will build up your knowledge, and you start getting ideas. Okay, people are doing this, I should also do this, or this is something I need to do. This is how world is working, that kind of thing. And the problems, like just before Marie stated that there is a public transportation problem in Philippines. So that is the problem. So if there is a problem, you want to have a solution. You are studying and you are becoming scientists, or you are becoming researchers to solve this problem. So to solve these problems, you will start writing. You start like formulating ideas, and when you are successful in your run model or scenarios, then you start disseminating to the people. And out of curiosity also, like many times what happens is like, what if? You start reading and people will do this, something like that, and if I change this, what will happen? If something happens, like I think Aman said, or like someone said, like copy from other ideas or something like that. Someone stated that. So if something is done, like in US something is done, like they are mapping land covers. So if you want to see that what will happen making land covers in Nepal, how difficult is it for complex geographies of Nepal? You want to check that same methodology in Nepal, and will it work or not? That kind of things. Curiosity also is kind of a publication. That will also lead to a publication. And sometimes it's dream or eureka moment. Dream is like when you have so much problems in your life, or like so much foundation in your life, when your brain is like all occupied and everything, suddenly something comes to you. Like something is like, oh, I got this. Oh, I can do this, something like this. Oh, this is a good idea. I can do this. Or this should be done. That kind of feeling you get, that is also called eureka moment. And in general, people say that ideas come while you are in bus, while you are in bed, and while you are in bathroom. So whenever these three spots are somewhere, you feel very free. So in bus, you don't have to think anything. Your brain is like completely empty, and you're just traveling. You're feeling the bus moving, and that time also your brain will start working on subconsciously. When you are sleeping, things work out. Maybe you have faced some kind of things, like you are facing a problem and you are trying to search, lots of googling and things you did, but you are not getting a solution. Suddenly you are sleeping and suddenly you start getting, oh, I can do this. So you just wake up and you start running your computer and like, okay, I will do this tomorrow, or like I want to do this tomorrow. That kind of feeling comes also. And sometimes in shower, it's like happy moments. You are in a warm shower and that you get the idea out suddenly. So getting your theme, building your foundation is very important. These days, if you have seen, maybe you have noticed your behavior also. when you get some kind of problem or you want to solve some kind of thing, you will start searching in Google, right? Once you search, you will think like, oh, this is things, there are so many links you will get, and you just don't know what these links are. You'll just start scrolling, next page, until you get like, okay, this is the something I want, or suddenly you click something just to check it. So that is when you do one-time search. But when you start doing searching again the same terminology, then you will read something, and then you will get an idea, and you will now feel like, oh, I know this, or like this is something I need. No, like again scroll, like sometime you will pause in between, and there comes, after you start searching 100 times, I'll not say like literally 100, but maybe there are more times than usually people. It depends on different people's interest. And then you don't scroll a lot. You will start searching with right keywords, and you will get the answer. Like you'll get the link, and you'll read that little bit highlights in Google. Google has this really good feature in search. So you'll get highlight, okay, this is something I need. You'll click exact those things. You will not waste time. You will just get into that. This is how like your brain works in terms of foundation. This is how you know that I am good with this subject matter. If you are scrolling too much, that means you are either not interested or not in interest. Like you don't have good foundation on this thing. And another thing is foundation, or the background theme for the things is tools are not foundation. As this is a workshop by Gesan. So Gesan is a geomatics engineering field. If you think geomatics as a subject, then geomatics is not actually a research foundation. It's not a subject matter. It's a technical course. It's purely technical. You will end up having technical skills, and these technical skills are tools that will help you to do research or to publish. But these are not your foundation. You will be either surveyor, or you'll be like a GIS developer or analyst, but this is like problem solving, but in like more industrial or like a technical matter, not in academic or research involved. So to understand the foundations like human geography, urbanization, climate change, or geology, transportation, you have to grab this. You have to have foundation of this subject matter. You have to read lots of books, at least one or two books. So that's how, if you have foundation of a subject matter, then you apply tools to make your foundation. Otherwise, you will end up being a technical person who will be guided by someone who will give you instruction that will lead you to just like working on some technical matters only. So this is my approach, and there are a few other approaches people follow. I will let you know this later. So to build a foundation, usually this is for undergrad level, this is not very important. Like this is not, I would not suggest this much rigorous way, but undergrad also can follow this. For graduate school or graduate students, this is very important. First, you have to know what are you good at, and then define your keywords, your problems, and then based on your foundation and problem, you define your keywords, 6 to 10 keywords. Once you have those keywords, you will start searching them either in Google Scholar or simply in Google, and then your scrolling begins. Like when you stop scrolling and getting some ideas on like, oh, this is something I do, this is something I want. So as we are talking about academic publication, especially in like a research article, so I will focus on reading research article. So when you see that something that matches your ideas or something similar with your idea, you start reading those abstract, introduction, and conclusion. So abstract gives you overall idea. Introduction will give you some foundation, why they are doing, what kind of things are doing, and conclusion will give you an idea that those objectives and ideas were fulfilled or not. Once they are fulfilled, then you feel like, oh, this is something. Now this will build up some ideas in your brain. Now you can redefine your specific keywords. Once you redefine your specific keywords, you will start searching them again. During that process, now your specific keyword will start giving you better publication, like better journal articles. Then you start finding out what is method, what are the methods they have applied, what results they got, and how they are discussing these things. We will explain more on these like IMRAD format later. slide. So now once you have this study, like once you read a lot of these articles, I would say maybe at least 10 or 20 articles, once you have this collection, you will start selecting 4 articles. 4 article is something that is very similar to your idea and gives you a lot of basis on based of methodology, data, and like analysis. So I will say collect those 5 core journals, and then you now start like once you have this foundation, how you do things, what are the data and what are everything, then you start either collecting data or learning tools. This goes hand in hand. You can like swap this anyway. So you will start learning tools. Then comes tools. If you start learning tools or tutorials from the beginning, then you will end up in a rabbit hole or like, oh, I did this, I didn't know this. This is not happening. Why this is not happening? So I want to do this, but this is like so easy in tutorial. This is so easy in like the PDF, but I am not in YouTube or I followed, but in my real world, it is not happening. But you don't know why it is happening. So this is the problem. What happens when you follow only the tools without the foundation? And then when you learn tools, have data and everything with the foundation, then you start your research. That research will now follow the cycle that I explained you in the previous slide. So then you'll start doing the idea, using those, and then conference, publication. So outline of a manuscript. What is like in a general manuscript, there is an outline of abstract. I told you to read abstract, introduction, and conclusion in advance. So abstract is how concisely you want to communicate that essence or significance of my result, like what you found and what you are trying to disseminate to the public. Usually articles are non-technical, so they are for general people. So general people will start read and get idea of it. And then introduction is what information does the reader need to order to make sense of the result. So what this is more like a foundation. What exactly subject matter that you are trying to convey. Literature review is what previous works people have done. There is a problem, what previous people try, how previous researchers try to solve these kind of things based on your theme. And methodology is how you got your results, what procedure you follow, and results, what you found after you apply your methods. And discussion is new insight. This is very important in publication. If you want to have a good publication, you have to ask, like, you apply something in a data and then you get a result, but what insight will you get? What that question, what kind of question you can answer through these results? How people would be attracted to this result? How readers will interpret this kind of results? It's very important in a journal or in a manuscript. So outline, usually paper are written in the format of like initially there is like author, title, and there is the author list, affiliation, abstract. And then at the end, there is mostly discussion and conclusion. And some people add like conclusion and recommendation also. And some people like fuse discussion and conclusion also. It depends on like author's choice. And then there is an end at the reference. But in between, general format, like most people before like this computer technology or development of novel ideas, like basic application based works are followed by introduction, which has background, problem, literature, and novelty, what is the novel thing that you are doing, and materials and method, what you are using, and result. But for like some new ideas, some new mathematical derivation or new algorithm development, you do there is another format that people usually follow, is introduction, background, and problem. You just state what your background is and what the problem is, and then related works as a literature review. So what other peoples are doing, what they are trying to solve, and what is they're lacking in that. And then you explain your methodology, what unique methodology that you are developing, what is the process that you are following, mathematical proof or like mathematical derivation of those kind of methods. And then you set up an experiment based on that. So that experiment will apply in new data or like new experiment. That methodology or like the novelty can be on methodology or data or any kind of thing. So then you set up an experiment. In experiment, you will have the data, experiment setup, and results, and then you will start again discussing, concluding things. So I want to ask, like, if you have seen this order, if you have written anything in previous your experience, what is the order that you follow? Do you follow any kind of orders? Like, do you always start with introduction, or you just start with title and then like, okay, I'm going to write this paper, or like I'm going to write something like that? Do you follow any kind of pattern? Do you follow IMRD, or like just write any kind of thing? Do you have any idea on this? Can anyone write on the chat? Any format that they follow? Or you just read something and then just start copying, and then later you start editing those things? Okay. Is it like I am talking right now alone? So like everyone is listening or not? I want to just check, like, are you listening or not? Is it like this is getting into your ears? I don't see that anyone is interactive, so I am not sure like if something I'm saying is going to the public or not. Okay, good. Okay, most people follow I am read. Okay. So I have this real example. Like there was one Twitter post there was a post in Twitter. So someone asked like, how do you approach your article? Usually it's not certain like how people start. It's not a rule of thumb. People can start anyway. So it depends on the field also. It depends on like technology also. It depends on people's comfort also. So sometimes what happens, if you are in literature, like suppose, social science. In social science, you need to do literature review a lot. You need to find a really good literature review course to solidly to have a solid foundation for your hypothesis. But in terms of like computer science or like computer technology or like a simulation work, you collect all the data and then you start getting results, and you see just result. If that result is good or bad, if that is applicable or not. So you always you start from result. And in some case, you will start developing mathematical formulation, you will start developing method and then apply. So if you see here, people are following methods, results in advance, or some people are following literature review at first and building their foundation. So if someone is following literature review at first, that means they are building their foundation. What is the problem and what they are trying to solve. And some people are following like they are trying to find first figures, what figures and tables to use, legend, results, and then explain the methodology, and then introduce or discuss, and then write abstract and title. So this is very good approach that you write abstract at the end and decide the title. You have a general title, but you don't write title at first, because that will guide you into different direction. And what you are getting, you will face lots of problem in reality. So once you face that problem, you will start tweaking your result, like a research or like work. So that will lead you to something else at the end. That's why writing title at the end or abstract at the end is a very good idea. And if you see the top one, it has very unique way. It has like methodology along with figures and tables. You will follow the method and you start developing a general figure and then tables, and then you will start getting a result. And as you get the result, you will start discussing them. What is the importance of these results? How people should perceive these results? And like reiterate on mistakes. What necessary changes can be done. So that is something kind of, if you do method result, this is something you can now present in a conference. And then you get an idea. Or like you can share it with your advisor or colleague or like your seniors. And then you get feedback. And then you then build up your introduction or abstract or conclusion, whatever you do. So writing something, it's initiating something is very difficult. If you want to write something and you have no idea, if there is no one to guide, even if someone there is to guide, okay, write something. It's very difficult to initiate. So the first thing you have to do is you have to understand what you are trying to do, and then break them into as much as smaller, if possible micro, if you can in a nano steps, as smaller steps as possible. So what you have to do, collect data from where, which website, that kind of thing. If you can break things, you can accomplish one by one. So you have to make it like a step ladder. So if you are in a step 1, if you finish step 2, then you go to step 3. sometimes there are like parallel things you can do. If you are in a collaboration work, you can distribute works to different members, and then those members will work in their micro nano work. So breaking bigger work smaller, like into a smaller pieces, is the best way to start with. It will help you to take the first step. First step will be smaller, but later you will get the hang of it and start writing. And another important thing is your brain is kind of a clock. So you should always have a schedule, like specific time to write. If you do that, it will start activate some kind of mechanism in your brain that will help you to write better in that time. Some people do it in early morning. Some people like it very calm and like fresh breathe of the air, and then sometimes like it in evening, like everything is like dumb and blue, like orange and everything. Some people like that. Maybe poets, those who are like writing poems, they like in evening. And some people don't like disturbance, and they are like night owl and they like late nights. So most of the technology people or like science STEM background, they usually do it in late night. So have a specific time. And another thing is write at least 5 to 10 lines every day. Whatever media you have, the best is always paper. If you have a mobile, there is nowadays I think everyone carries a smartphone. In a smartphone you can write lots of things. You should write something that comes in your brain, like something you read. Try to write something. You can later edit, do whatever things you can, but the best thing is always to write something that comes in your brain. You have to write it regularly. And there comes a dumping part. Dumping part is suppose you are doing some kind of research or something you want to do, and then after some duration, like I have written here every weekend, but you can do it in bi-weekly or any kind of things. Rewind what you are doing and try to dump everything that comes in your brain. Either it's good idea, bad idea. This will help clear your brain, and this will help you revise those things and take out good out of that. If you do this, then you will have a regular space in your brain. Although we have like a brain can be expanded a lot of things, but it will still like function as if there is some kind of a space in the brain. So this our neurons will like act as like a blockage. If you have the same idea stuck for a long time, it will start to block all the new ideas. So you will start getting only one side of the story if you don't disseminate that, or like if you don't express that in some way. And another important thing is when you break ideas into smaller things, you should have some kind of priority, like which one is the highest priority, which one has deadlines, importance, or which one is very small thing that you can finish immediately. This will give you an accomplishment feeling. This will give you some kind of happiness that, oh, I finished this, or like this is something I have to do, I must do it. If you don't do something like that, it will always be like a burden in your shoulder. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have not done this. So the time, if you spend more time, then it will be like, oh, I spent almost like 1 week, I have done nothing, I have to do something better. So this is how some kind of mechanism happens, is the more you spend, the better or the bigger thing that you expect. If you do that, then you will be in more problem. It will be like a heavy, like a weight in your shoulder, and you are trying to climb the ladders. So with the time that you spend is like a weight. So try to finish smaller things, important things, or that has a deadline. If you do that, then you can move on to another step. And this is more about like being comfortable, how people feel comfortable about it. Sometimes people don't like noise. Sometimes people like it to be alone. So try to close the doors and try to shut down yourself. Sometimes people are very comfortable with the environment. So sometimes they want to go into the public, or like some people, I have seen some people who writes in park, and even some people who writes in train stations. There is like too much noise, still they can write in those things. They are very clear about those things. And try to stay offline. These days, internet has made us very dependent. If you don't know anything, you'll just start searching immediately. And then that idea will immediately install something in your brain, and stops your creativity. You will not start thinking your own way. You will start thinking about something that is written by someone else. So that is like your brain is now hacked by internet. You will have no creativity. So try to stay offline. Stay offline and write. And then in revising phase, you can start searching those things. If that is right, wrong, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It's right, wrong, it's a good idea, bad idea. But start writing offline without thinking of anything. Okay, I will explain that also later. So earbuds, like some people, like it's up to you. Like usually, like I stayed in Korea, and in Korea people don't like noises. People don't like disturbing others. So usually they use earbuds. In US also people use earbuds, but I think in Nepal don't use that much earbuds. Usually headphones. Some people use headphones, try to distract, like don't get distracted. But if you can, do that. And avoid distraction or tiredness, like the thing that you ask, like I am tired, I am fatigued, or like I don't want to write paper, I did so much things, that kind of thing. I will talk about this in a while. Distraction is something is created by someone else or by the environment. So it can be someone who doesn't have a self-control. Like if someone, you are writing and someone comes and, oh, this is my friend, I have to talk, or like something like that. If that happens, you will start talking for hours, and then you forgot, you already spent your time, and then if the burden starts to grow, that will happen. Another thing is tiredness. Tiredness is caused by environment. Sometimes it's temperature of the room, sometimes it's your sitting position, it's your laptop, computer. I will talk about ergonomics on laptop and computer. But other things is if you are sleepy, if you start writing or reading something, if you are sleepy, that means your body is not well. Your body is not relaxed. Your body is having problem. You are not taking care of your body. That's why you are feeling sleepy. If you feel like your eyes are hurting, that means your eyes are not well. You should take care of those. If you take care of your body, then you will be able to take care of like other things. So you should know what is causing distraction in your body, in your brain, in your idea. If you have another thoughts, like suppose I have to do something, like my parents ask me to do something, but I cannot do something. Like I have to do things, but I will do it. If I start writing and you think like, oh, my parents gave me something like that, or like I have to do this. That means you have not completed some task and your brain is occupied by something that is distracting you. Try to clear as much as distraction as much as possible. If you don't feel like, if you feel sleepy, get sleep. Whenever you feel fresh, you start writing. Whenever you feel you're tired, you feel like some problem, solve that and then start writing. So this is something about finding comfort in writing. So this comfort, these days we mostly use computers. We have almost stopped using pen and paper. But even if you use pen and paper or computer, you should have everything in comfortable positions. Your hands should be very comfortable, your feet should be very comfortable, your head like should be straight forward, it should not be leaning way down, way up. Your shoulders should be attached in that. Eyes should be very easy. You should find comfortable position wherever. Like some people find it in bed, some people find it in table and chair. It depends on you. And you should not have too much pressure on fingers, wrist. Or if you have a regional or like when you do something, you can take breaks. Like now we are working a lot from home, and this is going to be a quite problem for us. Like where is my personal boundary? Where is my official like academic boundary? It is very much a problem. So you can have breaks in that between and avoid like too much force in forearm also. Like most people, what they do is like they lean forward and start doing that, and that will start hurting their hands and like shoulders or neck. And that will cause a lot of problem. And if possible, try to do frequent exercises in between. And I think 99% of you have laptops, and laptop is kind of a little bit odd equipment. It's not that comfortable as desktop or as comfortable as any other things. It has a problem with key spacing, trackpad using. Some people don't find it using the trackpad, and sometimes doesn't find it placement of monitor. They have to always look down in laptop, and there is always a gap. They cannot find like perfect space, like perfect gap to work in the laptop and monitor. Sometimes these new glossy kind of monitors have like glare that also cause problem in eyes, and monitors are quite small and pointers are also small. These things you have to think. If you can do, try to adjust a working desk and like try to manage those laptop into the secondary screen or any other kind of comfortable zone. So once you start writing, you will write a lot of things, like you will start reading things and getting ideas and writing. And then there comes the part of revising. In reality, revising is more like rewriting. So once you start writing, then it will begin to rewrite things. Then you will start rewriting again. So that rewriting, unless you have a successful publication, it is always rewriting. Rewriting something that someone pointed out, rewriting something you don't like, or rewriting something according to the what things changed, that kind of thing. So you should always follow 3R. Read that immediately afterwards. When you do something, read that. If you will read that, you will get, oh, this is the idea. It will revise you to get that. Or like you just, if you find something error, you edit it, otherwise leave it. And once after you finish everything, like after like few hours or like after a few days, if you have someone, some colleagues, ask them to revise or get like third person advisor colleagues, a third person who has fresh pair of eyes. If you have a good parents or like from different field, they can also revise these things. They can also provide new out of the box scenarios. As much as you revise, this process repeats itself. Like once you revise, you will start again reading that and then again revising it, again reading that, again revising it. So read, revise and repeat is what makes your draft better. So I also follow like I Think Well. He's like a professor in Australia. So he has this I Write Well website, which provides how you write papers. I have linked in the resources also. This is one of his examples. He starts writing papers through like a big white paper. He will start drawing ideas, and then like later when it becomes more visible in his brain, then he will start creating some kind of chunk of ideas, like chunk of pieces, like okay, this is literature part, this is method part, this is something, and then list out in a notebook and then type it in the computer. That's how he starts things. But once you start computer, maybe you have a nice draft in a computer, like in a notebook, but when you start in computer, you will have a lot of errors. It doesn't comes final draft just immediately. Maybe like now I have shown you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drafts, but it doesn't mean that it is only 6 drafts. You will start writing, you will feel immediately errors. First thing you will see is like your word will start showing lots of errors. There are lots of red, blue, green kind of lines you will see. Then you will start editing, and then you will read it again, revise, and then your advisor, probably your friend, whoever, like if you are doing collaborative work, they will start rewriting the themes, and then you will send it to the peer review. In peer review, that will change, and then your reviewers will start like commenting, and the editor will start commenting, and then at the end, your final product comes out. So let's talk about the peer review process. This is when you have everything done, like your advisor or your group thinks that okay, this is something I have done and this is perfect thing I can submit, and now I can work on a publication. Then you submit in a journal. So there are two type of journals. Traditionally, the closed access that are free to publish, and that are like hidden behind the wall, like paywall. You have to pay to see that. You don't have to pay to publish, but to read you have to pay them. So that kind of slow and rigorous process was there. Open access is like you pay some certain money, like as the article processing charge, and that charge will maintain all the fees for the maintenance of that database, and that way you can provide it freely to the readers. It is fast, but sometimes what happens is low quality of works also slips in because of like a fast process, and when there is a fast process, there is a chances of error, and there is like a low quality maintenance. So for in order to find these things, you have to always check the list of the journals, like where they are indexed, whether they are indexed in Web of Science and Scopus. Web of Science and Scopus are two indexing system that is maintained by publishers. So these indexing provides a list of good journals. If they are not good of it, if they are not maintaining the quality of journals articles, they will be removed from the list. So this is universally trusted by academicians for this. And recent days, what happens is uh, because of this open access system, people are getting lots of ideas like, okay, we can also publish this paper. Like we get money and then do things. So there are like some journals which just publish just to get money, and these money are not expensive ones. Like usually, good journal with a APC is around $2,000, at least like $1,000. But these predatory journals will publish you in like $100 or like $50 or $80. So these are fast, and people will think that, oh, this is very easy, and the quality, whatever you will send, they will publish. That will create a falsehood in your brain, and most of the new, especially new researchers or new students, early career students, they think that, oh, this is really nice, I can also do this. This is very easy. This is like something I can do. But in reality, those are very low quality journals, and they are just copied like maybe workflow format or followed some kind of technical workflow, and just a result is there without proper implication. So in order to find out about predatory journals, you can go through the link of predatoryjournals.com or Belal's list. That is kind of deactivated from 2017, but you can find a lot of ideas in internet about predatory journals. You should always avoid them as much as possible. You can read and get some idea, but don't think that this is the ideal case or this is the something that you should do. You should always target a better journal that is in Web of Science or Scopus. So peer review process begins by targeting a journal. So what kind of journal you should target? There are sometimes specific journal that you want. Suppose there is a article about geomatics, then you want to have a journal of geomatics kind of thing that you want to publish, or that you did some remote sensing work, then you want to publish in exact remote sensing, journal of remote sensing. That will have better audience and better idea of like your work can be disseminated to exact people who are using those things. The implication will be better. You can follow lots of journal finder based on different publishers. There are Wiley, Elsevier, Springer, Taylor and Francis. They have all these have journal suggestor or like journal finder. They have different names. So once you put your title and abstract in that keywords, they will recommend you journals, which journal best suits your need. These journals can be used can be judged based on their impact factor. Impact factor is like an indicator how good they are, how people perceive their articles, and acceptance rate. Sometimes what happens is a journal you will submit and it will take maybe more than 28 weeks, 50 weeks to accept. You don't want to wait 50 weeks just to get like the first review. That will be a lot of time to wait. So that time you probably will be graduated, move on, and in 58 weeks, like 28 weeks, everything can happen. Your computer can destroy, your data can be lost, you cannot revise lots of things. So you have to be very careful like how much time they will invest. And acceptance rate is also one of the important things. Some journals have very high acceptance rate. They'll maintain medium quality, and some has very high rigorous checking like rejection rate. So they will accept very few articles. If you see that there is an engineering in agriculture, environment and food at the bottom, that has only 12% acceptance rate. So that is very difficult to get into that journal. I think I will talk about peer review process. Before that, if I think everyone is tired right now, we can take 5 minutes break. I think Saugat, you can take over for 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. For 5 minutes, we'll have a word cloud game. I'll send the link in the chat section, and then you please write the 3 words that you want to describe our instructor, and I'll share the screen of the result screen. So let me share the link. You can go to this link and add 3 words for our instructor. Uh, 22 of 42 are already sent the feedbacks to the instructor, so rest of people also can add their words for the instructor, and please go through the link which is given in the chat box. Thank you so much for your words to our instructor. Now, Tridev sir, we can continue, I think.
Okay, let's continue then. Okay, thank you for that game. That was really amazing. Okay, there was one question like if you can submit same paper to another journal or not. Ethically, you cannot. You cannot submit same. Once you submit in one journal, It's your commitment towards that. You cannot submit same article in two different journals. You cannot do that. This is against ethics in publication. So you cannot. Usually don't do that, because these publishers, they have this shared database of reviewer and shared database of review system. Sometimes that if that happens, and if some journal find it very offending, or like editors find it offending, they can blacklist you and like remove you from the publication. That, so don't do that ever. You can write to editors, like I'm explaining that also. So okay, let's begin with the peer review process. So first thing is, you all when you write everything, then you send it to the editor. Your editor will access that. It depends on like is it under the scope of the article or the journal or not. Is it going to be it has novelty or not? Should it be go to further process or not? If not, that will be rejected. If yes, then it will go for the reviewers. So the reviewers will now examine your paper based on like novelty and like how it is written, it is well, or like how the readers will perceive it. Based on those comments, if there's everything is correct and reviewers keep like a green signal, then it will go for editor for the final processing. If not, you will get lots of comments, you will start revising things, and it again goes to editor. So this process can goes like, usually it go one time, but for a good article or like something very complex work, it can go up to 2, 3, 4 times also. I have experience of having like 5 reviewers that has more comments than my own paper. So that also can happen. Sometimes there are very good reviewers who will provide you very good comments and they will help you improve a lot of your work. So peer review process has its advantage, and reviewers have always good impact on journals. They will also always raise questions that will help you to improve your present. Is it okay, sorry for that. I was like kind of confused. Okay, is it now visible, right?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, so okay, I'll start from the beginning. Already you have listened it. So author will submit the article, it will go to editor, they will access for novelty and like the scope of the journal, and then they will send it to reviewers. Reviewer will comment and they will give you revision works, you will revise and send it again to the editor. And after these things happens, this editor will decide will this be accepted or not. So sometimes what happens, you revise things, but they will not go according to the journal, or they will not go according to the reviewer, they will not go according to the editor. Then you can have a rejection. So sometimes what happens, you get first review after suppose 2 months or 3 months, and then you send revision after like 15 days of work, and then they will take again like next 2 months, and you will spend like 1 year, and after 1 year you will have a rejection. This could also happen. This is sometimes really bad. There are some experiences I have seen where people waited almost like 2.5 years, 3 years to get one publication, or even like rejection after 2 years. So this is frustrating, but it has your own perks. Like once you get accepted, it has another kind of joy. This is kind of an accomplishment for you. So once the editor passes the signal, it will go to like a production and go to publication phase. So you should be very careful about submission. Is you should always follow the template of the journal. You should not tamper with the template. Whatever template they have, reference, title, font, size, you should always follow that. You should always there is like a very good either you can follow LaTeX for that, or you can use the format painter in the Word. So in Word there is a small tool called format painter. You can always use that to copy the format and make as much similar as possible. And while submission, you need few things. It depends on the journal. Some journals just ask on your own way. You can just send paper just your own way, but usually journals, a good journal will ask you for a cover letter explaining why you are submitting, what is the novelty of this work, who is submitting, and manuscript in Word and PDF format also. These days, like sometimes what happens, your Word can distort according to the computer, different computer files. So your PDF will provide exactly what you are trying to send. And figures in high quality. Usually, people will the authors will reviewer journal will ask 300 DPI minimum, but you can there are some journals who will ask you 600 DPI also, 350 DPI also, but minimum is 300 DPI. Your figures should not be blurred when zoomed or printed. And some journals will ask you table in a separate file, tables in a separate Excel, or tables in a separate format, or supplementary data that is going to supplement your work for the reviewers. And you should always have patience. Like if there is a too much waiting time, too much things, always follow up with editors, but have patience. If you don't have patience, you will never get published. It's really difficult, it's really frustrating. And because of this also, if you are in the academic line, usually waiting for one paper and finishing that to be published is very challenging. So that's why usually good researchers have at least 4 or 5 papers in line. So even I right now, if I have to think of myself, then I will have at least like 6 papers in a line. One is in submission, one is in like publication, the process, one is in review process, 2 are like submitted, 3/4 are being done. That kind of juggling kind of work you should do. Otherwise, it will take a long time and you will be very frustrated with this process. And you should be aware of reviewer 2. Reviewer 2 is not a number, it's a mentality of a reviewer. Sometimes what happens is people start seeing that the reviews are sent to expert in your field. Whatever you are writing, they are sent to those experts. So these experts, what they will feel that, oh, this is work that done by other people, like this is not good. They will always questions like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? This is not good. This is not good. This is bad. This is good. This is good. They will not help you improve, but they will always drag you down to like, this is bad. This is wrong thing. You can also follow lots of reviewer to, I think, groups or like Twitter handle in social media. That will be really fun to see how people actually do the review, peer review. Okay. So for a successful publication, I will suggest follow 4 E's. First E is explicit. You should be very clear on like what you are trying to do, and you should always ask your questions very clearly. Like confusions. If you have any confusion, Google it first with the right keywords and try to have an idea of this. And what you did, you have a problem, you did this, you found this problem, and now you can ask your seniors or advisor, I did this, I couldn't find this, and I have to do this. So how can I do this? You should be very explicit on that. Exposure. Although working, many people work alone also. Many first generation, especially first generation people are who is going to the university first time, writing papers first time, doing this new field of study first time. They don't have anyone in family or friends who can guide them. Usually people, they don't collaborate and they try to do it alone. What happens when you try to do it alone is you'll have one-dimensional idea. You will not have other ideas where you can rebuttal or like discuss and then innovate your idea better. So try to collaborate, expose yourself to other domain, like other reasons. So if you can, try to collaborate with national or international researchers. You can always ask your seniors, email them, and then like you can have a really good journal article you read. You can always email those authors also, like I have this idea, I want to do this, I don't know this, can you help me, we can collaborate, that kind of thing. And try to enhance your writing. Enhancement is using some tools, like I think most of the people are not first English language speaker, so we use some tools like Grammarly or Hemingway to enhance our writings. They will help us write better English, more technical words, and better way to communicate in writing. And you can use efficient way of sharing things. These days, as we are working in pandemic, work from home and always in the computer and with the technology, sending one file and working on that file and editing back forth, it's a really problematic, and there is a high chances you will lose data in between. You may have a problem with working in same file again and again, or you like, oh, I already did this, we cannot merge things. So in that case, you can use Google Docs, 365 Office Online, or OneDrive, Zoho Docs. These are like free collaborating platform where you can start making a folder and then share it to the different like collaborators, and then you will start working on them. So once you start working on them, you don't have to worry about saving them, you don't have to worry about being lost or like having problem of merging works. So another important part, like we learned a lot about like what is writing, what we are writing, what we are trying to write, but what is not writing? This is very challenging. People think that, oh, I want to write and I spend a lot of time in computers, I did this, that is writing. Actually, there are few things that are not writing. So searching the keyword, it's not writing. It's building foundation, it is going to help you for writing, but it's not writing. Downloading papers, that is not writing. That is just collecting. You can have lots of PDFs in your computer, you never opened it, you never read, you never put any line from there, you never gain anything from there. This is not writing. And scheduling tasks, like I told you, you can break it tasks, you can make smaller, nano, micro things, but that is not your task in writing. And referencing is very important. It will consume a lot of time, but these days there are tools like mainly Zoroto or other like what do you call that? I forgot the name of from the writing. EndNote, sorry, EndNote. You can use EndNote. This will help you, but adding those journals into that referencing software or formatting those referencing is not writing. Formatting is also not writing, although formatting will be a pain in your writing process. Once you do something and you will submit in one journal and they will reject, you have to submit another journal. It will consume your whole day or two to just format that new formatting. So that is also not writing actually. So you should not focus on formatting from the beginning. You should always focus on writing simply, and then at the end always format reference at the end. You can write like referencing can go hand in hand. If you have mainly well managed database, then you can do that. You can actually collaborate in mainly create a group and then collaborate with all the authors, and then they will add the references. This will like reduce your burden. That way also you can do it. Emailing is also not a writing. Like emailing to authors, emailing to like some journal article corresponding author, or emailing to your friends. Like emailing can be like chat, talking, discussing, is also not writing. So writing is, as I told you before, rewriting. Writing is always writing once you write in a document. Whatever you do, whatever you think, whatever you plan is not writing unless you have some word that is in a computer screen or a document. So writing, you always have to write, no matter it's good or bad. It's always better to it's always good to have bad writing rather than nothing. So always write something. So this is almost end of our presentation. So I want to know what important or like insightful thing that you learned from this session. Do you want anything unique that you found, or do you want anything recommendation for me to improve? You can write in your chat like what important thing that you learned from this presentation. You can take like 2 minutes. Everyone can write just whatever it comes in your mind. You read that and oh, I found this very unique, or like this insightful, this is something I was doing and I was unable to solve it, that kind of thing. Whatever that comes in your mind, you can write. What important, meaningful thing that you got. Start typing, start. This is writing. You are not writing. See, this is again the problem. You are thinking, everyone is thinking who will write and who another people will write. But no one is writing. Out of 40, there's no one is writing. Basic known, but reading pictures of how the revision is done. The challenge is, okay, lessons is the key. High impact factor. Okay, impact factor plays a very important role. Impact factor is more like an exponential thing. One impact factor and two impact factor can have a drastic impact in an article. So always focus for a higher impact factor. The higher impact factor will have always difficulty, like you have to work very hard to publish in those kind of things. Okay, AIC method. Okay, abstract. Like reading, always read through abstract, introduction and conclusion. Then only go for other things. Okay, knowledge about predatory journals. So predatory journals have really negative consequences. Like people think that, I think many of your students will think that you search something on the internet and you find that, oh, this is very easy, I can also do that. This is a paper, I can also publish that. But actually that is the falsehood that predatory journals bring. The journal that you are seeing, is that good or not? How easy is that? Like what they are doing, is it like waste of time or not for others? You should always be very careful with reading that. Okay, building foundation. This is very important for especially technical field of students. You are technical field, you are learning technology, tools, but you should also build your foundation. Where you want to work, what you want to research, without foundation, it will be a very big problem. You will always face problem. Why am I doing this? Why is this happening? Suppose you are working on landslide mapping. Landslide mapping is very easy. You'll just run a tool, you'll get the probability and done. But what kind of soil does actually like I forgot the term. Like what kind of soil has higher probability of having landslide? What kind of factors influence them to have? How much water? I don't know about geology, soil, and environment. It is very difficult to understand the result. You will just see the result, colorful result, but you will not understand this. So building foundation is more important than learning tools. Okay, there is a feedback form as well. Peer review thing is a process. Okay. Okay, 3R. Okay, as I told again about staying offline. Offline is very important. Like these days, I don't know how much you did, like how many people searched about me. If you thought of like, okay, someone is presenting, have you like searched about me or not? You searched, right? Like if you need any problem, you will start again immediately to the digital device. Like you will start searching for, oh, what is this? What is that? You will not use your brain at once, like you will not discuss with your peers, you will not get other opinion, but you will start digital world. And if you've seen, there is a phenomena, I forgot the exact term of this, but have you seen this or not? In Facebook, if someone posts a photo and the first comment comes negative, everyone starts giving negative comment. If the first comment is positive, everyone starts following positive comment. So that is like brain hacking. Once you start reading others' idea, your brain will also start building logics based on that idea. So that's where you will not give your insight, you will not your knowledge, you will not use your brain to create something creative or like become creative. You will start building on others' idea. So you should always be offline. So getting an advisor when writing a paper. So it depends. Like I will always recommend getting an advisor because you are first generation or you're writing the first time, you don't have much experience. So for me, I have lots of experience and I have been to lots of different situations. I have done my work. So I can now write alone also. I can do lots of things alone. I know where to do what kind of things. But if you are first generation, you're writing first time or pure experience, then it is always better to have a collaborator or advisor or a mentor. You can always ask them. So this is more like there is a problem that you are facing, you cannot solve. you will ask lots of people, or you will have someone advisor who has already been through that path. And if that person will send like tell you to do this or this way you can solve this, it will save you a lot of time and it will save you a lot of burden. So it's always better to have at least a mentor advisor, or at least senior someone who has already been through that path. It is not only in paper, it is in every aspect of your life, in our career, wherever you are doing. If you have a career path, if you want to, suppose you want to graduate, you want to have a job, you want to have a good settlement, then see where your seniors are, where someone is following that path. If you follow that path, like if you want to follow that path, try to ask your seniors or that person who has been through that path, is that good or not? How good is this? Like, is it going to be same for me or not? What were the problems? How to navigate through that problems? That way you get a better career, or like better path, or better writing, a successful publication. Any kind of problem, you will get a solution for that. Okay, ResearchGate is independent new kind of indexing system. There are many others like SCI Elite, or there is a Dimension. There are many different type of scoring system, but these are not still universally used. No one cares. Like some people cares, but mostly academia, especially if you are going for academia, your thing is science, impact factor, or Scopus. You have to always focus on these indexing. Other things doesn't matter. Like ResearchGate has lots of inclusive things. Like it uses like how much paper you upload. If you upload your paper, then also you get a score. If you actively use the commenting questioning system, that will also include. Like it has like a system, and it can be hacked. Everything can be hacked in digital world, but ResearchGate is not that yet reliable to follow as a rule of thing. But you can always say that okay. And another thing is like sometimes what people do is they write anything and then just post in ResearchGate and think it as like a journal, or like make it like an article and then just publish anything, just upload it, same thing again and again and again like that. This is good if you are doing something really good and like trying to provide a letter, like an insight or like an opinion letter, open letter, that kind of things. You don't want to get in publishers, like go through the peer review process. These are called white papers. If you want to do like that, but if you are doing this very low quality, like if you are doing something really bad and like just mashed up things without correction, very poor uploading, then it will cause a problem in you. Like it will hamper you negatively, like it will hamper you badly. People will see that, oh, this person is like doing non related things, or this person is doing really bad. That then people will start judging you. So always maintain that in your research profile. So this is same thing with social media. In social media, everyone posts nice things. They don't want to show you the reality of their life, because the people will start judge and evaluate based on that. So don't do that. In research also, you should not like publish whatever you think you want. You should be very accurate, to the point, explicit. Always be explicit on doing things. How many hours a day do you spend writing the personal graph? There is no hours or days. There is like always comfortable timing. How much your brain processes, how much you build idea in your brain, how much you think, and how much you want to write, how much you have things to write. Reading, you can make a schedule for reading, and you can schedule some like half an hour, 1 hour for writing. But there is not necessary that we will write for half an hour, or like we'll read for 2-3 hours. If you feel difficult, for me, I found that staying all day, wake up, and then like sleeping 1 hour, like one sleep, one wake up, that cycle doesn't work for me. I sleep 2 times. I sleep in like 6 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours. That's how I am very productive. Whenever I wake up, I feel refreshed. I will start my work. Whenever I am tired, I just go back to sleep. So that's like 6-4-6-4 works for me very well. Like plus minus, it's not exact, but I only sleep like 4 hours 2 times. So that's how I maintain my sleep. That's how you can also do that. startup personal, but how much time did you spend to finalize your very first article in Silicon? Okay, this is a very good question. My first article was published in 2014. I had no idea. I was the first generation. If you know me or not, but I am the first generation from my family, first generation from Geomatics, and went abroad. And in my university also, I was kind of, in my department, I was first foreign student. So most of them were Korean. They have different way of writing, and they have been guided by Korean professors. My professor was Korean, so we had a little bit language issue also, like we had a communication gap. So first, the paper was published in Korean journal. It was a Scopus indexed journal, and I just followed simple like methodology, tools, and result, that kind of thing. I think the paper was for cycling in Kathmandu city. I just tried to find lanes of the cycling, and then I start searching for papers, and then I got lots of these Asian journals which have so simple things. Oh, there is an introduction like a notebook style, and then there is a method, data, method, and result. It's so easy, and I published like 2-3 papers just like that, very easy. I just sent, they will accept. Just send, they will accept. I was like, why it's so easy? Then it start hitting me like, why it's so easy for me to publish? I think that's how I can get PhD so easily. Then after what happens, someone asked me, what is the indexing of this? Actually, I didn't know my first article was Scopus indexed. I knew it very later. And what is the indexing of the journal? I didn't know. Actually, we have to fill an evaluation form in university. So during that time, I found that it is not any indexed. Then I started searching out what is these things. Then I talked to another professors, and I talked to my friends in different universities, and then I found out, okay, this is the thing. Then the first thing I did was my first SCI publication was Science Citation Index publication was in Sensors. It took me almost a year to publish that, a year to formulate, like, and then peer review process also takes like it was open access. Our university supports open access, so they will pay for the charge. Open access is like usually because most of my works were from Nepal. So I wanted it to be provided freely to the community, like to the Nepalese newcomers or like students like you, so that you will be able to access them and get more idea of that. That's why I asked the university to support me on that, and they agreed, and they were paying for that. So being open access, it was fast, but still I think it took more than 4 months to back and forth. And my paper was just 11 pages at the starting, and I got 18 page comments only, and then I submitted 35 page review comments, like replies, and my paper became, I think, 16 or 18 page. I don't remember exactly now, but still, if I think that first paper is always like you feel so much accomplished, but after some time you feel like, oh, first paper was not very good. Like now, if I visit my paper, I feel like, oh, it was very simple. But it's like time, with time. Once you start first, maybe it's difficult, but first you will get a little bit simpler papers, but with time you will start to improve, and then later the ideas started to like narrow down. Like I can be more specific, I know how to do things. So peer review process, I have like fastest publication in almost like 1 month also. I can, because I know everything about how journals will require things, how being an editor and a reviewer, I know how they will ask, what they will edit, or how they will think, what they will seek in the paper. So I started doing that. Now I can publishing, like writing and publishing in 1 or plus month. And then for ideas, still ideas can come anytime, anywhere. It would take 4 or 5 months, 6 months. Usually it's always 1 year in geomatics technical work. Anyway, I will try to end this, and then we will have more questions on this. So these are some of the resources that you can follow. So these resources will provide you what is the format of writing, how to write, and some information ideas, and how the process happens. So this ends our thing. You can ask me more questions, or you can do the feedback thing, and you can always follow me in like LinkedIn or Twitter for more information on this. And you can also visit my Mentor for Nepal GitHub page. In that I have some of the like ideas. Like I have described about what is it for, and there is some forms that you can see as you read and write. So mini project will help you define. This is not, you don't have to collaborate with me or like share with me, but this will help you to write what you are trying to do. This will help you to define your work. And literature summary is more about reading. Once you start reading journal paper, then you will you don't know what you are trying to write. But once you start defining your work, you can ask more questions, whatever you feel free to ask. This ends my presentation. This is career choice is very difficult thing to explain, especially in Asian or especially Nepalese context. I was, to be honest, like we can do another like a session or like whole 1 hour session on career planning or academic career life. It is very complex, but in simple way, I can say that I was I was first batch, so unemployment was also not a problem. If I have stayed, I could have got job easily. But it was more like an environment. That time, the I think after during our bachelors, most of the friends were going abroad. The UK and Australia was booming. Because of that, also one of the thing that I want to run away from Nepal. This is the reality. Like run away from Nepal, and the problems with the employment. Will I be happy or not? That kind of thinking I was struggling with. That's why I went away. But yeah, I was not sure at that time. Luckily, I went through really good path, but this was lucky break for me. It was everything happened really well, but it's not sure like this will happen to everyone. There are problems, but the always thing is like what you want to do. You should be always clear. You should talk to as much as seniors or like mentors as much as possible, and try to have an idea on where do you want to settle. This is like nowadays the next generation that you are coming. You don't have to worry about home, or you don't have to worry about building a house or that kind of thing. You always, your parents have provided you everything, but now you have to read where you will be happy, where you want to settle, and where you will feel comfortable with your family. So if you can manage these things, I think you can choose whichever path, academy, industry, whichever line you want. I guess we can do another thing, like another whole career plan with that. I think it was not a very clear answer, but I hope you got the gist what I'm trying to say. It's very difficult to answer things. Like I know that what you guys are probably going through, you learn, but there is nothing to do. Or what should we do? There is a problem with the system and all. If you have more like publication related, or like if you have any experience on writing, you can do that kind of queries. Or like in maybe like you already have advisors. Always talk to the advisors. Like if you have an advisor, always ask them your queries. Don't be like shy, or don't be like I should I ask or not, what they will feel. Always ask, no matter what. And if you can have, you can always collaborate with other people. There are lots of people who went abroad from your batch, or even from KU, or like in any other field. If you know anyone from your extended group, you always try to ask them and like follow, like query about the career, life, research, any kind of thing. That will help you for better inspiration, I guess. Any other questions? So I will stop sharing my screen. If that is all, I guess Sogat can take over and other people can still write queries. If there is any query, I will try to answer them.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. I think he delivered the whole ideas how to start, how to research, what to write, what not to write. I think we can easily follow these instructions to have publications in academia. The main important thing that is building the foundation to having successful publications. Yeah, and if you have any queries regarding this, then you can write it in the chat sections. Other than we will end the session here. And please send us the feedback that how what that you want to share, how this session was, and if you have any suggestions for Jishan, please um, fill the feedback form and send us. We will consider it. I think there is no more queries, so let's invite Mr. Gaurav Parajuli, President of Jishan, in this virtual program.
Thank you, Sogat. Thank you everyone for joining this session. This session was totally different from regular session which we have been conducting throughout this pandemic, and hope this session was helpful for all those who have been wanting to write some articles and publish them through academia. Thank you, Tri Dev Acharya sir, for your valuable time, resource and support throughout this event. Also, I like to inform everyone that Gesan 6th committee is going to publish Geospatial magazine, Geo World Volume 4th, and the submission for the articles, the last date for the submission of the articles is October 30. Those who have been willing to publish their article through our magazine, we would like them to send their articles before October 30. Thank you everyone for your support throughout this event. Also, this might be the last event before Dasai. So stay safe. Happy Dasai to all the participants. Thank you.